Hi there guys, I wanted to do a quick tutorial on something that I've been working on and thinking about lately, which is about preparing yourself for paper 1 section B of the English language AQA paper. Now, as you know, for this paper you need to write a description, or you need to write a story based on based on an image that you've been given. Now, this one is not an official AQA paper, this is one that I put together. And the dream, I think, would be that we have an exciting picture that you could use in an interesting and unusual way to do something that you enjoy. You could get something. Here's just another example. Now, obviously, on past papers, last year we had the picture of the old man's face. The previous year there was the lady on the bus, and you had the option, as always, of 2 different tasks based on that. Now, what this video, or the purpose of this video tutorial, is for those of you who are not confident creative writers, you don't feel that writing stories and descriptions is your strength, and this might be an area of the exam that you're quite concerned and quite worried about. We know that the paper 1 question 5, the section B writing, is worth 25% of your overall grade. So it's a weighty part of your GCSE. So I'm just going to tell you about a little tactic that you might want to think about. You might not as well, but I just want to give you there as an option. And this is the idea of preparing in advance a piece of descriptive writing on anything you want, really, that you can apply whatever image you get given in the exam. So to kind of make that clear, I'll just show you a piece that I was working on. So you could pause it there to look at it. I'll just move up, and then you could pause then again to look at the second 2 paragraphs. Okay, so what my thinking is that you produce in advance of the exam a piece of descriptive writing. I think it's a really good idea to do a setting or a place, because it's got lots of easily kind of accessible ways to incorporate that into whatever question you get in the exam. So you prepare something in advance that's a really beautiful piece of your best possible writing. You know you've practiced and you've learned and relearnt it. Perhaps you've put them onto revision cards. Each of these a paragraph. Doing something like this, where you have your paragraph and then reduce it down and even perhaps picture it. So if we took that first paragraph, so we've got the towering fir mountains, the darkening sky, the snaking forest path, calm before the storm. So perhaps reducing that paragraph into, we know that the sentence starter is the towering fir mountains. I know we're going to get the sky frowned. I'm going to have the snaking path, and then calm before storm. So taking the kind of key ideas from that paragraph, and then even to kind of get it into my head, don't judge me on my art here, but I'm going to have kind of lots of fir trees, and then a kind of snaking path through this forest, and then some really dark skies. So just to help me visualize it, I'm sure you're a much better artist than me. But what I'm doing here is I'm practicing and preparing my best piece of writing. So what you're going to be questioning, or what I'm sure you're asking or thinking, is, okay, but I'm going to get a picture in my exam that might have nothing to do with mountains or fir trees or a lake or whatever it may be. And of course that's true. So what I would want to think about is, take the Rosabelle, the 2017 paper, the Rosabelle paper, and your task at the back was, there was a lady on a bus looking miserably out at the, the city that she was in. Okay, so you think, right, I've prepared a really great piece of descriptive writing, but what am I going to do with it? The thing is, a description based on that picture. But simply, all you need to do is find a way to link it. I think you could have done something really simple, like, I'm here on this bus in a city I despise, but in my mind, I'm in the Lake District, ... Towering fir mountains seem to close in around me, ... Okay, and so then you can do your best bit of writing in the exam, something you've practiced and prepared, is really good. So we know that the exam board look for the quality of your writing So they're looking for technique and vocab and something that's really like hooks them because they can see technique and it's being crafted beautifully. So think about last year's paper, which I'm sure lots of you have done as a trial exam. You had the picture of an elderly man zoomed in on his face. So you would simply need to think, how can I connect this description to the picture of the old man? Well, easily. You know, I'm an old man sitting here alone in my seat in my nursing home. My eyes may look old and dim, but behind those eyes I'm in the Lake District. Towering fir mountains seem to close in around me. So you just need really, whatever picture you get, a couple of sentences to link it into your pre-prepared description. Now, I've said before that I really would encourage you to go for a description rather than a story route. Just my experience marking these papers tells me that the quality of description is usually better than stories, because it's hard in that amount of time to create characters and things that an examiner was really going to get hooked into. So looking at these kind of 5 detailed paragraphs, were a student producing this, I would be happy to be moving them towards full marks. So this is I'm calling it my kind of cheeky tactic, but if you are somebody who is struggling and worries about creative writing and is just nervous on the day, will I find something I can write about, then this may be something that works for you. So the summary really for this is that you prepare a really great piece of writing, maybe ask your teacher to help you, give you feedback on that, learn it off by heart. When you get into the exam, find a way to connect it to the picture, and then write your pre-prepared response, and at the end maybe again hook it back to that description. These are not kind of official exam board questions. These are ones I've made up for revision for my students before. So you might look at this and think, a story set in a city as suggested by this picture. And that might seem absolutely impossible because you've done this description of mountains and lakes and all the rest of it. But it's just about thinking outside the box. How can you get that in here? So you could, if you got that question, you'd pre-prepared something like the one I showed you. You could easily say, I'm here in New York, once a thriving city filled with millions, now laid waste by nuclear war or whatever it might be. As I leave New York, whatever, the towering fir trees are around me. And so you've moved from New York because it's kind of obliterated by a war or what have you. And so, it doesn't need to be like hugely plausible. It could be quite a tenuous little link in there. Just look perhaps at a couple of other pictures I got. So this one about the football stadium. So write a description using this picture as a starting point. So it's a sports stadium of some description. Photocopying's a bit dodgy here, but you'd get yours in colour. But again, you could have, I'm sitting here in the crowd, waiting, bored to see, whatever. I don't know, I'm not good at football, so here's Liverpool. Waiting to watch the team come out. It feels like a world away from last week when I enjoyed my holiday in the Lake District. Towering fir trees. So you're looking, aren't you, really, for a couple of sentences to hook you in or to make an obvious connection to the piece that you've prepared. So again, just this last one here. I mean, this would work quite well, actually, a description with this. So you could end up, obviously this is quite gothic and quite dark, so you could say, this is your starting point, so you could have a brief thing that said, last night seemed like a lifetime away. I never thought I would have been able to flee from that castle. Towering fir mountains seem to close in around me. The darkening sky frowned darkly. So you can find ways to connect your sort of pre-prepared paper 1 section B to whatever question you get. And what I would suggest is that you just, there's no getting around it. Kind of learn it off by heart. Maybe just Google image anything random and think about, right, how would I get into my description from, if I got that picture in my exam, how would I kind of get in there? So it's just a little bit of a cheeky tactic. I think that really it's, what I would encourage you as a teacher to be doing is to take this as an opportunity to write something creative and beautiful and wonderful and original and enjoy this bit of your exam if that's even possible. But really this is just if you're someone who really really worries about this, you know that creative writing is not your strongest point, and it's just a little bit of an idea of something that might give you a bit of confidence as you approach this exam. Okay, thanks so much for watching.